Welcome to the Purple Mash webinar introducing you to the new Purple Chip. Purple Chip is our new app which allows students to control an external device using code created in TwoCode. In this webinar, we will look at how to pair your Purple Chip device with TwoCode. We'll also look at how to program the tilt, shake, vibrate and flash commands to make things happen in your code. We'll explore how to program your device to display text and a chosen image. And lastly, we'll look at how to code the buttons on your Purple Chip device to perform a number of different actions. So what is Purple Chip and how do I find it? The Purple Chip app, in conjunction with TwoCode Purple Chip mode, is a way of controlling an external physical device and its components from code that is written and run from within Purple Mash. When you download the app, it looks like a handheld gamepad. Purple Chip is free to download from the Apple app or Google Play stores. Once you've downloaded Purple Chip, click on the Purple Chip tile on your smartphone or tablet device to launch the Purple Chip application. You'll now need to open up Purple Chip from the Tools area in TwoCode up here next to the free code resources. Let's launch that. The first thing I need to do is pair up my Purple Chip device using this button at the top left here. If I click on that, it will launch a QR code. When I click on the pair button on my Purple Chip device, it will then access the camera on my device, scan that QR code. The pair button will then turn green on my Purple Chip device, showing that I am now linked up. I can then begin to program my TwoCode window here and my design screen. On my code window, there are two tabs here in Purple Chip. On the Host tab, I have all of the commands that are normally available to me when I'm programming in Free Code Given or Gorilla. I also have this second tab under here called Device, which allows me to use some of the output and events that are specific to the Purple Chip device. If you have been teaching the coding units from our computing scheme of work, then your children would have learnt about events and how they are code blocks that cause a command or a set of commands to run. Let's have a look at the events that are specific to the Purple Chip device. When you use these events in your code, it enables the Purple Chip device to interact with your host device to make things happen in your program. Let's look at how each of these events work. Let's program the When Chip button event first of all. I'm going to click on that question mark. I have 8 different buttons on my Purple Chip device. Up, down, left, right, and the A, B, C, D. So if I use the up arrow, what do I want to happen? I'm going to click on my host tab here and go down to my objects. I'm going to drag my duck and he is going to go up. Let's go back to my device tab. Let's have a look at the next event here. When I tilt my Purple Chip left, right, or when I level it out, I can make something happen. Or I can also program the any kind of tilt on my Purple Chip device. I've also got when my Purple Chip is shaken, I could make something happen. I could, for example, make my duck move right and then use a timer. After 1/4 second, he's going to go left. There is one last event here, the when sound detected. This event will be able to use the microphone on your device to detect a medium or a loud sound. When my Purple Chip device detects a medium sound, I could make the animal, what am I going to make him do? I'm going to make him speak. So using the device event commands in your code enables input from the Purple Chip device to make things happen. Let's have a look now at the Purple Chip device output commands. So this event says when I click on the up button on my Purple Chip device, my duck is going to go up. I'm going to include these output commands into that event also. Let's use the flash output to start with. Let's drag that in and nest it inside that event. So when the Purple Chip up button is pressed, the duck is going to go up and the light on my Purple Chip device will flash for 2/4 seconds. We could also make my Purple Chip device vibrate. Let's make it vibrate for 1 second. We could also show some text which will scroll along at the bottom like ticker tape on my Purple Chip device. There we go. The duck is going to say, I am a duck and I like swimming.
I can also show an image on my purple chip device. Click on that question mark and I have any number of images from my clip art here. Let's go to the animals. Let's have this duck display on the purple chip device. And lastly, I could make my purple chip device play a sound, and I can choose any one of the pre-made sounds, and there's another drop-down list here, or I could record my own voice using the microphone on my device. Now that we've explored the device output and event commands,
let's have a look at a very simple scene that I've set up. I've got a diver here in the ocean with lots of plastic bags around here. Now I'm going to program it so that the diver is going to swim around in the sea using my purple chip device to move him, and every time he hits one of these plastic buckets or plastic bags, it's going to collect it to clean up the sea. So first of all, I'm going to go to the code window and I'm going to click on the device tab. So the first thing I've done is to drag this when chip button into the code window. So when the up button is pressed, something's going to happen. When the chip button, down button, etc. So I'm just going to program all 4 of those, drag them all into the window here. Let's go to the host tab here. What's going to happen? If I scroll down to the bottom, you'll see all my objects that are available to program down the bottom. I'm going to drag my diver into each one of these. So when I press the chip button on purple chip up, the diver is going to go up. Now I'll need to program some collision detection so that when he hits one of those items here, which are currently called my sprite 1 to 9, so that object will disappear as if he's collected it. So let's program a collision detection. Now one thing I want to point out before I go any further, you'll notice that each of these objects here are a character. They're tagged with the word character, and you'll notice if I go back to the code window, when the diver collides with, and I can select any one of those characters. I'm going to drag the first sprite into here, the first plastic bag. I want this object to hide. However, I don't want just that first plastic bag to hide. If I click on this My Sprite 1 again, you'll then get the different objects I could change it to. I want to select this one here, the collided character. So when the diver collides with any one of these characters, the collided character is going to hide. Let's add some additional outcomes to this collision detection event. If I go to the device tab again, I want to show an image when the diver collides with the character. I want an image to show on my purple chip device. So I'm going to change that to a happy fish. Let's have a look. Let's select this fish icon. What else could we have? Let's have the device playing a sound when he collects one of the plastic bags. Let's select this sound here, which is the splat sound. I could also make my purple chip device vibrate for a number of quarter seconds. Now I could also make my purple chip device flash, and this is dependent on the device that I'm using. This works most effectively on iPhones. Let's lastly add a text here onto the purple chip device. Let's say, well done, we are cleaning up the sea. So we've now added a number of these different device output options into this collision detection event, which will interact directly with my purple chip device on my iPad. Now the other thing I want to do, I've added this additional tab here called instructions, and in this tab I'm going to click on the device tab at the top left here. I'm going to add instructions which will display on the actual purple chip device. So let's add in some text here. So there we have my instructions. Let's have something else. I'm going to show an image on my purple chip as well to start my game. Let's search for my diver. There he is. Let's now run my code and use my purple chip simulator. If I click on launch simulator, my device will be here, and you can see it's giving my instructions there at the bottom, and it's displaying the picture of my diver. And I'm going to use my buttons on my purple chip here to move around. And as you can see, it's vibrating. Every time it collects one of those pieces of rubbish, it's playing a sound and it's vibrating as well. Let's stop it using the A key. Now I'm going to create that exact same scene, but this time, instead of using the arrow buttons to move my diver around the sea, I'm going to tilt the purple chip to move the diver around the sea. So I'm removing all of these button events. And I'm going to replace them with the when chip tilted event. So if I select that, if I tilt the purple chip device to the left, then my diver, if I drag him up here, is going to go left. Again, if I tip my purple chip device to the right, he is going to go right. There's two other tilt options. There's the any tilt or the level tilt. If I select the level tilt, when I level out my purple chip device, my diver is simply going to go up. So I don't have a down action for my diver, but when I run this, let's see what happens. Let's press the run button. So you can see my code is running in the background there on my laptop, which is the host device, and my purple chip device, my iPad, is operating as a controller. As I tilt it left, my diver is going to the left. As I tilt it right, my diver is going to the right. And as I level out my iPad, my diver goes up. Here's another idea I created using a two-player game. So I've got two cars on my game here. The cars are going to drive around the scene and collect these fruit and then exit through the hotspot at the top here. Let's go to my code window. I've programmed it so that my two cars will move using the different buttons on the purple chip device. Car 1 is going to move around using the A, B, C and D buttons. Car number 2 is going to move using the up, down, left and right buttons. And here I have my collision detection code and what's going to happen when the car enters the hotspot. Let's run this and use my simulator. Let's drive around the cars and collect the fruit. I could have two players playing this at the same time. Let's see if I can get all the fruit. I've also added these number objects onto my design. The first number object I've called car 1 score, and the second number object is called car 2 score. Each time one of the cars collides with one of the apples, a sound will play, that apple will hide, and the number element will add a 1 to that so that it will count a score of how many apples that particular car has collected. To support you in teaching using Purple Chip, we've created in Year 5 a brand new optional unit here, Unit 5.9, with 6 different lessons on how to use the Purple Chip device with your class. It will guide you through an introduction to Purple Chip and how to get it set up on your devices. And the very first lesson introduces the idea of Purple Chip to your class. There are pre-made examples here in the resources area. There is a knowledge organizer which outlines the key learning resources, vocabulary, images and key questions. There is also a document here which shows where this particular unit sits within the previous learning in our scheme of work and how it will feed into the Year 6 learning. The PowerPoints are also a brilliant way to introduce the use of Purple Chip to your class. As with all the units in our scheme of work, we have a concept map. This could be used as a stimulus for discussion at the end of this unit, or you could use the end of unit quiz.
Purple Chip is a brilliant way to introduce aspects of physical programming into your computer science teaching and learning, using the power of 2 code commands and events that your children will already be familiar with. What programs will the coders in your class create?